Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Every weekend over the last several weekends has been a massive one for OpTic Texas. This time, no exception at all. Starting out the weekend, 0-3 in terms of series, 0-9 in terms of map count. Today was the day they absolutely needed a comfortable victory on the board if they wanted any chance of getting to the winner's bracket of the home major and collecting the rings to a great ovation. That may still happen, but the results will need to turn around quickly because today it was another indication that I don't know what's been happening in their practice the last week, but nothing seems to have changed. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. First series today, FaZe played Minnesota Rocker. This I thought could be interesting in terms of where FaZe currently sit with respect to the likes of the Los Angeles Thieves. We know that Thieves have been absolutely on fire as of late. If FaZe dispatched a Rocker no issues, that would be potentially kind of telling. The only series they've lost recently, of course, has been back-to-back to Seattle Surge, Vancouver Surge. Now, Minnesota, though, they've been okay. Don't quite pose the same challenge. Estriel has been their best player now for some while. They're solid mid-pack enough team, it seems. Again, bit of a rough one here. Although, map 1 was an opportunity, right? They genuinely could have won this first map. FaZe went up pretty big, but they did all go dead. I mean, this was a 4 dead moment with full control, 40 seconds to go. FaZe eventually flipped the spawns. Geo, you know, maybe if they played this setup a bit better here, Rocker, they actually could have won the map. But in the end, FaZe get in the back, they get the kills, Simp clutches up and gets a couple, and that's GG game 1. And after that, they never really looked back in the series. FaZe dominated the Surge. And this was when aBeZy really took over the game here, right? He had a couple of moments, such as, for example, this one. We're seeing this more and more lately, right? When we first saw this feature in the beta build of the game, we're like, okay, how often are we going to really see this in competitive play? But no, Cellium blows Drazah up with an RCXD, and even though Simp dies, he gets traded right here by Geo. aBeZy's already got Nero by the scruff of the neck, shall we say. Takes down Geo as well. You don't see this very often. You see the hostage taking, sometimes you don't often see a player get a kill with a hostage under their arm, to say the very least. So aBeZy gets the nice little 2-piece to close out the game, and he did the same thing in the next map as well. We've seen a few of these this season. And it's not like they're playing... Look, Pred did it against the Falcons, right? And then Pred obviously went on stream to say, oh, well, you know, those guys... Respect for those guys, really like him, which is fair enough. But obviously we did see some hostage taking elsewhere, and it was nice for Pred to say that. But still, when you've got aBeZy against a Rocker team that seem mid-pack-ish, I don't know where you guys think the Rockers stand right now. But for aBeZy to put on an absolute generational masterclass performance, absolutely gun Geo to bed as well. In addition to taking people hostage back-to-back maps, like, yeah, there was no beating that performance, guys, on demon time, to say the very least. And it does feel like we're at a point of the season now where the good teams are just having fun with the worst teams. And there is quite the discrepancy between the best and the worst teams in this league as it stands. Yeah, the control was very swiftly going the other way. This round, Minnesota Rocker did eventually win, but it just didn't matter in the end. Porlex 0-10 in his career against FaZe. Geo yet to defeat the FaZe roster as well. And this I thought was pretty rough, man, to FaZe, who let these guys take over. Here's Porlex with, yeah, the Falcons inside his skull. Now, Porlex didn't have a great series here, really. aBeZy was having a great time. Double body shields, back-to-back games. These are the overall numbers. aBeZy with a 1.6. Simp with almost a 1.4, Cell with a 1.3. Drazah had a pretty rough start to the map 1. Anyway, he started really negative and finished really negative as well. On the other side, as usual, it was only really Estriel that was delivering the damage. But Nero, look, Nero is going to be inconsistent. That's kind of par for the course for him. Sometimes he's going to have bad series. But despite Porlex's reasonably decent turnaround, it has been a rough little stint for him now. If we just look at some of his recent games, and let's just go matches, right, and completed matches. His recent numbers, you know, 0.88, 0.85, 0.66. It's not been ideal, given that he was certainly better at the major and since the major, but... you know, some questionable plays from both of these two teams that we'll get into here in a second. This series was super impressive to me for the Ravens, right? Because Cloud9, I know that their schedule hasn't been great. They obviously lost to Thieves at the minor, but they did win the first map against Thieves. And I was like, Thieves are a great respawn team. Cloud9 took the first map off Thieves. Ravens respawn, we know that isn't quite as strong. So I thought, you know, this could be a 3-1 New York. If it went game 5, I was feeling the Ravens, but I felt like New York could actually win this series. Certainly online, they've been properly putting teams to bed lately. But Ravens were ultra impressive. Like, if you'd have told me coming into this series that Ravens would win both hardpoints and win the series, I'd say one, are you sure? Or second, did Gwinnternet pull off a masterclass? Now, I know that's the nickname that's been going around because Gwinn is a sensational player. And people have started to call him Gwinnternet because he's doing it a lot online. And his transition to LAN, like his LAN performances have been solid, but they've not been spectacular like this. And I still want to see it because we know that Gwinn's got unbelievable potential. We see it online when he's almost single-handedly just taken down excellent teams, at least on recent evidence, such as New York. So this game one was a masterclass. Now, they did bring it back. There was a time about here where you thought, hang on a second, is this actually possible? But Gwinn makes the play. They win map 1, and then they do their trademark on the game 2. They win the game 2 as well. Now, this was a pretty ridiculous moment. Here's Mack. I don't really know if he intends to shoot TJ through the wall, but he does kill TJ through the wall here, defusing the bomb or planting the bomb with a jackal. He eventually takes the other kill as well. So that was certainly a moment of all time, but the rest of the game, Ravens dominated. We then got into a very interesting control. This was a full Sib takeover performance. No massive surprises here that he was going to at least have one map in the series where he was generationally on point, as he was. Drops 40 on this game 3 to get the win. And I thought, you know what? The reverse sweep is potentially on. We saw even a game 5 between Ravens and Cloud9, I think right back at the start of the season when Cloud9 weren't very good. So I thought this time maybe it's going to be a different story. But yeah, Sib with a masterpiece. But the game 4 was very competitive. But yeah, pretty rough series from both of the SMGs here on Cloud9. It's kind of interesting to look at this team really, because at the start of the season, the feeling of many was, the ARs look nice, the SMGs not so sure. You look at the team now, and for the last couple of months, we've been saying the ARs look, not sure about that at all. The SMGs are looking nice. All of a sudden, Sib's got better, and the team has got better with Sib getting better, no doubt. But the inconsistencies inherent in that SMG lineup, they've not magically disappeared, and they're still here. And that's the thing, when Kremp doesn't have a great series, I think there's, lots to talk about Mack, and I get it, because he didn't have a great one today. But I think at times you kind of understand that's going to happen from Mack. Mack isn't going to be your slaying SMG, right? That's meant to be Kremp's job. So when Kremp doesn't have a good series, and when Mack can't back it up, that's when they're vulnerable. And then Gwinn just decides to just have another masterclass performance here. So, honestly, against the way that Gwinn played today, I'm not sure there was really that much that Cloud9 or many teams at all could actually do about it. So, unbelievable performance from Gwinn. I mean, look at that, 108 kills in 4 maps. Drops a 1.46 for the win. Kremp and Mack, okay, attached at a 0.83, Mack with a 0.89. Kremp, as I say, was the one with an underwhelming series to say the least today, but very impressive from the Ravens. They started this stint 0-2 in this stage. They've now brought it back to 3-2. New York are 4-2. Both of those teams, of course, looking good for a winner's bracket. Every time these two teams play each other, it does seem to be a good series to watch, which I think this series was. Game 5 would have been interesting as well. TJ/Vivid doing their job, and Gwinn with a generational takeover, quite frankly. It won't take us long to get through this series. Boston versus Thieves. And this was a Thieves masterclass. Shane said it on Twitter after the series that their practice this week has been unbelievable. They have been absolutely slamming teams in scrims, and that's translating into their games emphatically so. I mean, HyDra and Scrap, we talked about their duo ship this morning. They slammed them again, map 1. HyDra game 2, we know that it's been his search, maybe at times, which has been a struggle point. 12-3, 4 KD, 1 bomb plant, 2 first bloods, wins everything. And then the control was, I mean, this was genuinely something to behold. Like, I'm not going to lie, the stark contrast between the quality of COD played in this specific map by a certain team and what we saw in the following series was notable, to say the very least. The juxtaposition was evident, shall we say. Thieves made Boston look like a ranked play team in this map, and like, I don't like especially protocol control, but when you watch Thieves play it, you're like, wow, this is actually a masterpiece, because Thieves, they get the wave of kills, and then the way that they trap the enemy team in their spawn is, it's precision, it's a pincer movement, right? These guys are getting absolutely slammed, and Thieves are absolutely ruthless in the way they put these teams away. I mean, it was a teamwork masterpiece. Purjay had 7 kills. It was a rough map for him, and there really wasn't anything it seemed like they could do. It was Ghosty that took over the map 3. That's what's scary about the team, and it's not like Envoy has been far off either, because as Scrappy says, unreal weekend, really. Play OpTic in Minnesota to close out the qualifiers. They now advance to 5-0. And this was not a close series. Cam with a 0.7, Purge with a 0.7, Snooper with a 0.8, HyDra with a 1.5, Scrap with a 1.4. Good night. The separation between these teams is becoming evident. And it's happened again in the OpTic series, right? Like, I really don't understand what to say anymore, because every single weekend we watch OpTic play like this. They do a week of practice and they play the same way the next weekends. It's genuinely mind-blowing. We've got a lot of key moments to discuss over the coming minutes here with this particular series and how it all somehow fell apart again, because the first map actually started all right for OpTic, right? They were up early on the Heretics. Okay, to get to this point, Pred did fully bait his entire team, but he got the kills and they won this particular set of rotations, but then of course they lost the rotation to P2. The game was close, the game was competitive. Shotzzy was double positive, having a sensational map at this point. Rencor notably 14 in 10, good start, but not as well as he finished the map. This though was a critical moment. I've just got to share this clip for you guys because this sums so many things up really. So this is Dashy popping one with nice shots, great shots onto metals, and then wow, guns the third guy right out of the window. Nice couple of kills. Great moment for OpTic. Dashy slides into the point. Renkor's laughed alive on this side of the map. Obviously, OpTic, they want to be pushing through it. They want to push through, 25 seconds left, try and flip these spawns at this point. What you don't want to do is just run away from the time for no reason, because they know Renkor's going to be down there. Dashy's just popped a 3-piece. Pred is coming into the hill. Number 2 is going to chow Rencor. Dashy goes into this corner for a second. Number 2 then dies to Rencor, but even before that's happened, this is Pred. And both Pred and Dashy both slide out of the hill at the same time. And we went to a listen with OpTic this map, and I couldn't help but feel that their comms were just absolutely nothing like they were when they were a dominant team. I mean, you know, it was the classic, right? They just call out where somebody is and when, and like, oh, there's one here, there's one there, there's one here. Like, you know, the small talk wasn't really there. Like, this is an amazing moment really to look at, right? The fact that they've got time. You know, okay, Rencor gets the kill. He's an important trait, sure. But both of them fly at it. Someone's got to communicate like, hey, I'm going to stay. And probably Preds, to be honest, should just get in the hill and hug the right-hand side. If you want to let Dashy chase his kills, sure, but they both leave. Dashy and Pred both leave. They mess up the trade anyway. Dashy finally gets the trade, but by the time he does get the trade, Kenny's the last alive in hill, he gets guns, and OpTic have no time and no rotation. So, like, you know, this summed up everything to me about the way that things have been super shambolic with OpTic lately, because how do you turn a Dashy 3-piece into no time and no rotation? It's genuinely impressive. So, you know, but still they continue the game. It was the messiest red card I think that I've ever watched by a mile, to be honest. You know, the efficiency was non-existent. Both teams were not getting in the time. And I can't help but feel, we've discussed this now for a little while. I know that people are going to look at Kenny. Sure, fair enough. He didn't play well again today. But Pred, a lot of the time, was frankly useless. Like, is this guy allergic to the hill? Like, can we just get some time, please? Can we just stay at the hardpoint for a second longer than you might otherwise want to? This is why, as I said earlier today, this Scrappy idea of, like, you know, just play your game and vibe out, I'm not really sure it works, because this is how, like, Pred doesn't like the hill. He likes to play like HyDra, sure, but, you know, even HyDra isn't getting 15 seconds of hill time a map. I mean, he literally got 15 seconds. The worst position came here. So OpTic, they've got the rotation to P2. There is somehow 8 seconds on the game clock. They have a slight, you know, losing advantage right now, but they quickly get that back. Unfortunately, they allow, I don't know who it was, but they allow someone to sneak through the gap and get a couple of kills, and all of a sudden OpTic are the ones getting spawn trapped in the back. They were in two minds, I think, OpTic, as to whether they fully committed to trying to get time on P1, or whether they rotated, whether they should be in the hill, whether they shouldn't be. You know, a messy game like this, comms can be quite important. Rencor ends up dropping 41, so he deserves a lot of credit, but, you know, a genuinely an unbelievable collapse from OpTic. They couldn't believe it, and at this point I was firmly convinced that it was GG. And unfortunately for OpTic, they were getting clowned on all fronts. Everyone was on my timeline saying, I can't believe that was the worst red card I've ever seen in my life, and I wouldn't disagree. 04 even says, nobody wants to win. Quite the tweet, given, of course, this is what Shotzzy was saying about the other teams not that long ago. The game continues. I mean, look, this is an example of a round that OpTic actually won. They stacked 4 men inside the site. They won the trades. Maybe that's how to do it, right? But even then, this was a round. Again, they stacked the site. Kenny was in the corner. Shotzzy died. a round that, again, 3v4, right? How do you allow Miami to retake this? Shotzzy dies initially. Pred then CHALs. I mean, I don't know. Again, bad comms. Pred's CHAL isn't necessarily a bad play if everyone knows you're doing it and you're ready to team CHAL. They don't. Kenny was weak. He dies. Dashy dies. The rest is history. And then the control, I mean, look, it was a few rough moments here. This one especially was, like, Kenny, yeah, he had a 1v2 here and he lost it, but this was 10 deaths for Kenny in a single round of control. That's never really a good sign as an AR, in my opinion. The start of the next round, Pred team nades Shotzzy. That happened again later in the map as well. Like, it must have been, I don't know what was going on their comms, but it must have been a generational collapse. And this was a round that OpTic, you know, they thought they were going to win. They eventually lost this round, but actually the key moment came before. So Shotzzy made a great play, gets into the spawn, OpTic get 4 dead, and Miami are just, you know, trying to come off spawn and get back into the point here. OpTic have 3 in the point. Pred's watching this. You know, what is this? Dashy's watching this. Kenny's watching this. I think Kenny wasn't fully aimed in, which kind of confused me. But, you know, they're stuck in the point. Fair play. They're a couple of seconds away from winning the game. But Royale somehow is able to slide into the point here, get the kill onto Kenny and to Pred. I mean, look at this. Pred and Kenny are both watching this. Somehow Royale gets the kill. And, well, I think he must get the kill because no one else is close enough to contest. With, like, a fraction on the clock, I just don't understand. That should have been impossible to lose. Yet somehow Royale manages to slide and gets away with it. And OpTic lose the rounds. And after that, it was GG. Shotzi's face, to me, just, you know, kind of sums things up at this point because... like, if you're an OpTic fan, you're probably feeling something like this right now. I know there were some more Kenny YY moments as well. I'm not going to dive into it in detail, but yeah, what else to say? Shotzzy with the 1.13, Pred 0.9, Dashy 0.9, Kenny 0.8. Yeah, just horrific to watch, to be honest, is all I'll say at this point. And these numbers, I mean... could you possibly believe that's the reigning World Championship winning team? Yeah, it's difficult to really come to terms with what's going on right now, but very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.